Every morning, your brain begins a countdown, a sequence of choices that either shapes your greatness or sharpens your regret. From the moment your eyes open, your nervous system is primed to respond to how you think, what you feel, and the very words you whisper to yourself. Neuroscience tells us that the first 20 minutes after waking up are a golden window, a neurological ignition that determines your emotional trajectory, your productivity, and your resilience. What if you could hack that window with purpose? What if 9 simple thoughts could rewire your brain towards success, peace, and relentless progress? Stay with me, because this is not just a motivational pep talk. This is a morning code deeply rooted in neuroscience and human performance, as articulated by Dr. Andrew Huberman. And by the end of this video, you will never look at mornings the same way again. Imagine a sculptor waking each day to shape a masterpiece. That sculptor is you, and the clay is your brain. Dr. Andrew Huberman, a professor of neurobiology at Stanford University, has spent decades studying the human brain. What he discovered is astonishing. Your brain is not fixed. It is not static. It is, in fact, a dynamic, ever-changing system, constantly rewiring based on what you think, how you behave, and the routines you follow. The mornings, he says, are not just the beginning of your day. They are the blueprint of your emotional, mental, and physical rhythm. Each morning, your brain floods with neurochemicals. Cortisol surges, acting as a natural stimulant. Your dopamine system begins to fire, seeking reward and meaning. This is not random. It is the architecture of motivation. Yet most people squander this crucial time by diving into stress, scrolling through social media, or replaying yesterday's regrets. Neuroscience shows us that the brain is especially plastic during these early moments. That means you have the power to direct your mindset, mood, and energy if you know what to say to yourself. In this video, you will discover 9 statements carefully constructed to activate neural circuits of confidence, focus, and peace. These are not affirmations in the superficial sense. They are intentional mental cues designed to trigger powerful internal changes. Think of them as your mental operating system. Each one of these statements serves a unique function, aligning your brain chemistry with the goals you pursue and the peace you deserve. This is not about perfection. It is not about pretending that life is easy. This is about resilience. It is about training your mind to respond, not react. It is about understanding the levers that drive clarity, motivation, and self-respect. With each statement, you will gain not only a psychological tool, but also a neuroscientific explanation of why it works. Dr. Huberman's research has illuminated how the simplest mental shifts can change the deepest neural patterns. So take a deep breath. Prepare to challenge everything you thought you knew about mornings. Because what follows is not just a list, it is a transformation. When you wake up, you are not simply rising from sleep. You are entering a new state of consciousness, one that is highly sensitive to suggestion and focus. The brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for planning, decision-making control, is freshly activated. According to Dr. Huberman, this is when the brain is most receptive to intentional thought. The first thoughts you think are like instructions to your nervous system. They determine whether you begin your day in control or in chaos. Your autonomic nervous system operates in either a sympathetic or parasympathetic mode. The sympathetic mode triggers stress. The parasympathetic mode promotes calm and recovery. Your morning mental script directly influences which mode you activate. By choosing powerful thoughts, you orient yourself toward balance. This is not theoretical. It is biological. It is measurable. It is the foundation of a resilient day. Huberman explains that your eyes, when exposed to natural sunlight early in the morning, send a signal to the brain that helps regulate your circadian rhythm. This not only boosts alertness but also synchronizes the release of hormones like dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals shape mood, motivation, and even immune function. So when you combine this natural light exposure with purposeful internal dialogue, you are optimizing 2 powerful levers: biology and belief. The modern world pushes us to respond before we reflect. But neuroscience insists reflection must come first. Because in those early minutes, your brain is writing code. If you do not write it consciously, it will default to fear, doubt, or distraction. That is why this first principle matters. It is a reminder that how you wake is how you win. So ask yourself every morning, am I programming progress or permitting passivity? Because once the morning begins, the day obeys. Your thoughts do not appear out of nowhere. They are shaped by your environment, your habits, and your history. But they are not your master. You are. Dr. Huberman emphasizes that neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change itself, is triggered by focus and repetition. The more you tell yourself you are in control, the more your brain reinforces that belief. Neurons that fire together wire together. It is not philosophy, it is physics. When you remind yourself that you are in control, You activate the anterior cingulate cortex, a region associated with self-regulation and decision-making. This allows you to observe your thoughts rather than be swept away by them. You become the driver of your mental vehicle, not just a passenger. And once that shift occurs, everything changes. This statement is not about denying emotions. It is about directing them. Anger, fear, and anxiety are real, but they are not permanent. They are signals, not identities. By grounding yourself in the belief that your mind is your domain, you take back the steering wheel. You set boundaries on where your attention goes, and attention, according to Huberman, is the currency of neuroplastic change. Each time you repeat this to yourself, I am in control of my mind, you are not just affirming a truth. You are literally shaping the circuitry that makes it so. Over time, this becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Doubt dissolves, confidence grows, focus sharpens, and in a world that constantly tries to hijack your attention, this simple truth becomes a superpower. Perfection is a myth. Progress is a muscle. Neuroscience confirms that the brain thrives not on success, but on effort. Dopamine, the molecule of motivation, is not released when we arrive, but when we advance. Huberman notes that forward movement, however small, triggers a reward response in the brain. This means that the act of trying, of striving, is more biologically powerful than the illusion of flawlessness. Perfection paralyzes. It convinces you that if it cannot be done flawlessly, it should not be done at all. But progress liberates. It understands that growth is messy and mastery is born of mistakes. When you tell yourself every morning that you choose progress, you are aligning your brain with its natural design. This mindset triggers the growth mindset loop identified by researchers like Carol Dweck and supported by neuroscientific findings. Your brain becomes more adaptable, more resilient, and more creative when it is encouraged by effort, not inhibited by fear of failure. Each morning, when you choose progress, you activate the parts of your brain involved in learning and adaptation. You give yourself permission to start, to stumble, to learn, and eventually to succeed. So whisper to yourself every morning, I choose movement over stillness. I choose courage over hesitation. I choose progress over perfection. Yesterday is gone, but its weight lingers. It follows you like a shadow, whispering regrets, replaying mistakes, and anchoring you to pain. But neuroscience shows us something powerful. The hippocampus, which stores memory, does not define identity. The brain is built to remember, but it is also built to renew. When you choose to let go of yesterday, you deactivate the default mode network, a system in the brain associated with rumination and self-referential thought. Huberman explains that excessive activation of this network can lead to depression and anxiety, but conscious redirection through breath, movement, and intentional thought can quiet it. Letting go is not forgetting, it is freeing. This statement is a command to your nervous system release. It tells your amygdala, the brain's fear center, that the threat has passed. It reminds your prefrontal cortex to focus on what is next, not what was. Each time you repeat this message, you cut the cord to unhelpful memories. You are not your worst moment. You are not your biggest mistake. You are the lesson you chose to learn. That is the power of neuroplasticity. It gives you permission to change. So every morning, before the past pulls you back, say it firmly, I let go of yesterday. Peace is not passive. It is protective. In the brain, peace is not the absence of noise, but the presence of regulation. When your nervous system is calm, your cognition improves, your memory sharpens, and your immune system strengthens. Huberman emphasizes that protecting peace is a neurological choice. It involves controlling your inputs, what you see, hear, and think. Each morning, when you affirm that you deserve to protect your peace, you set boundaries. You become intentional about what you allow into your space. This activates the ventromedial prefrontal cortex, which governs emotional regulation and decision-making. In neuroscience, this is known as top-down control. You are signaling to your lower brain centers that you are safe. This reduces cortisol levels and enhances mental clarity. When peace is protected, productivity becomes effortless. The world will always offer you chaos, but you do not have to accept it. Protecting peace is not selfish. It is strategic. It prepares you to respond, not react. It makes you a leader in your own life. So speak it boldly each morning, I deserve to protect my peace. Control is an illusion. Acceptance is liberation. The brain craves certainty, but life guarantees uncertainty. When you struggle against what cannot be changed, you activate stress circuits that wear down your resilience. But when you release, you restore balance. Neuroscience teaches us that acceptance activates the insula, a region of the brain associated with awareness and self-compassion. Huberman explains that releasing what you cannot control reduces activation in the amygdala and enhances the functioning of the prefrontal cortex. This shift improves decision-making, emotional regulation, and long-term thinking. Each morning, remind yourself some things are not yours to fix. Some storms are not yours to calm. Releasing is not weakness, it is wisdom. This statement frees up cognitive resources. It allows your brain to focus on what matters: growth, gratitude, and goals. It reduces mental clutter and emotional fatigue. So let it go. Say it aloud. Say it until it becomes your truth. I release what I cannot change. The brain is a garden. What you plant, you grow. If you fill it with fear, doubt, and criticism, you harvest anxiety. But if you plant joy, gratitude, and optimism, you cultivate strength. Neuroscience shows that positive thoughts trigger the release of dopamine and serotonin. These chemicals not only elevate mood but also enhance learning, memory, and creativity. When you nurture your mind each morning, you are not being naive, you are being strategic. Huberman emphasizes that the brain responds powerfully to mental rehearsal. Thinking positively trains your neural pathways to expect success, to seek solutions, and to embrace challenges. This statement activates the brain's reward system. It trains you to notice progress, appreciate effort, and remain focused on what is working. Over time, this builds psychological resilience. Positive thinking is not about ignoring reality. It is about choosing which part of reality you magnify. Each morning, choose to magnify hope. Choose to feed the parts of your brain that make you stronger. Say it with certainty: I will nurture my mind with positive thoughts. Now pause for a moment. Feel the shift. You have just walked through a transformation, one thought at a time. These are not empty words. They are neural signals. Every sentence is a sculptor's tool, carving out the best version of you. This is not about motivation that fades. This is about identity that stays. You are not who you were yesterday. You are who you choose to become today. These 9 thoughts are anchors. They hold you steady in the storm. They remind you of your power. They whisper truths when the world screams lies. Science does not lie. Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain is listening. Your body is responding. Your future is forming. With every breath, with every thought, with every choice you make, there is nothing passive about this practice. It is deliberate. It is defiant. It is disscient. It is disciplined. You're not just surviving, you're building. Brick by brick. Day by day. Neuron by neuron. And the best part, this is just the beginning. Now that you hold these 9 truths, what will you do with them? Will you write them down? Will you speak them aloud? Will you make them the first words you hear every morning? Because repetition is the mother of change, and change is the father of legacy. Take this seriously. Do not let another day begin without intention. Print these 9 thoughts. Memorize them. Own them. Share them. Because someone in your life needs to hear them too. Transform your mornings, and you will transform your life. It starts with one choice, one breath, one moment of clarity. Make that moment count. If this message moved you, like the video. Subscribe for more science-backed transformation. And comment below, which of these 9 truths will you start with tomorrow? This is not the end. This is your new beginning. Stay strong, stay focused. And never forget, your mind listens to the words you speak. Speak wisely, live boldly,